Alrighty, y'all. G'day, gone. We're looking at some interesting maps, posts, and other things from Australia, including what an American would post asking for help from Aussies when abroad. Let's take a look. So, starting with our first map here. An actual map to explain Australia to Americans. Let me go full screen, like I usually do. So, here, this is an Australia map for Americans. Now, I'm going to get a kick out of this, right? I've been all over the United States, and this will be kind of fun for me. It might be fun for you as well if you know a little bit about the U.S. or at least have been there and you've been to Australia and the U.S. This might be kind of fun. So, we have the top end way up here, right? Which most people, at least from my perspective, most people don't even know about or talk about. I just know that Darwin is up here. This is considered Mississippi, very humid. Notable minority population, less developed region. Okay, that's what the map says. Outback, Northern Territory, Chihuahua Desert, very rural and remote, very, very hot. Now that I can see for sure. I mean, you have the Northern Territory, there's definitely some rugged beauty, right? I think the desert's beautiful, but it looks very hot. They're very dry and it almost like scorched earth, and that's what you get with the Chihuahua Desert. Yeah, I could see that being pretty accurate comparison. Then you have Outback Queensland, not coastal Queensland, but Outback Queensland, rural Texas. So as you get into central and eastern Texas, a little more green. It's kind of like a greenish desert. Very hot still, a lot of ranching, farming, and apparently very conservative, just like Outback Queensland. Then you have western New South Wales, eastern Oregon, and eastern Washington. That's pretty interesting. Then you move down to the pink. We have Outback South Australia compared to the Mojave Desert. Deathly hot and dry, very empty, some mountains. Now that's an interesting one. Would you consider Outback South Australia even hotter than Outback Northern Territory? I, of course, would not know that. I would love to hear what you guys would say. If that's true, then that is a great comparison. The Chihuahua Desert, extremely dangerously hot. Somehow the Mojave Desert, even hotter. Rural Western Australia, West Texas. I like this comparison. That seems about right. Very hot, rural deserts, absolutely huge. Then we have down here by Perth, Southwest WA, Southern Oregon. Somewhat remote, nice coastal Mediterranean climate. Okay, that's fair. Then we get into the crowded East Coast where most people know about and live. Let's work our way up. So Tasmania, Appalachia. Why did I think that would come up? I don't know. That is pretty funny that I guessed in my head that would be the comparison. Victoria, New England, I can see that for sure. ACT, Washington, D.C., that makes sense. Coastal New South Wales, Mid-Atlantic coast. I guess I could see that. Thinking like Virginia, possibly coastal Maryland, maybe, North Carolina or so. North Coast, New South Wales. Now, this is more like Northern California. Southeast Queensland, South Florida. That makes sense. And far North Queensland, Northern Florida, and Alabama. I feel like this is probably somewhat accurate. And obviously it's for fun, but I feel like it's kind of a good way to grasp what different parts of Australia are like for me as an American. I like this map. It's kind of fun. And then if you want to go even further, here's some city matchups. Now, again, I would love to hear if you guys agree with these or disagree. It might be hard for people to even guess on this because if you haven't been to both places, like I haven't either, then it's kind of hard. But just kind of use your imagination with this. Sydney is compared to San Francisco, major harborside city, ridiculously expensive, warm climate, and iconic bridge landmark. I would probably say that Sydney probably has warmer weather. Parts of California are scorching hot, but most of the coast isn't, and especially San Francisco is up towards Northern California on the coast. It's really rainy there and pretty much never hot. Whereas, Los Angeles and San Diego, and then, of course, places inland way, in the southern end can get very hot. Just like I think Sydney. Sydney can get very hot sometimes, right? Now, this is a weird one. Melbourne compared to Seattle and also Chicago. Now, Seattle, Washington, I can see Melbourne's coastal. Seattle is coastal as well. Chicago is coastal, but it's not what you're thinking of. Chicago is coastal on a humongous Great Lake, Lake Michigan, of course. It may look and feel, honestly, like an ocean coast, but it's, of course, not technically an ocean. The Seattle one I can see making a little more sense, but How we relate these is really right here. Shitty weather, cool climate, almost painfully progressive and hipsterish, lots of skyscrapers. Okay. Brisbane, Austin, Texas. Okay. I don't even know how to weigh in on that from either side. Adelaide, Salt Lake City. That's not what I would think of comparing it to, but who knows? Perth, San Diego. That one makes sense to me for some reason. They're both in the southwest corner of each country. They have great weather and they're pretty laid back. I feel like that one is probably the best one out of all these. Canberra and Washington, D.C., and I guess that one makes natural sense as well. All right, now check this out. This is some pictures. We'll look at the comments as well. This is on in one of the interesting subreddits, and it's Sydney, Australia, pulling out all the stops for its new metro. Now take a look at these. These are actually wild. So let's go to this view again. This place, to me, maybe this is normal for you. To me, this looks extremely fancy. I mean, this almost looks like something out of a movie or something. Look at how classy this is. Granted, I know these are taken with no people in them, right? So I guess it's like the best scenario for a picture. Obviously it's ultra clean and no people, but dude, it looks amazing, man. Look at this, like lighting and all the different materials, the floor, the escalators. Something really interesting also is right here. These escalators lead to what I would think would always say exit, but this actually says way out. I've never seen that in my life. I've always seen, signs leading towards an exit that just say exit even before the exit, right? So that's kind of interesting. Is that common in Australia? Another area here, I mean, to me, it just looks nice. Right. Of course, as an American, I'm not riding metro, a lot. Right. We're always driving our own stuff. But, the places I've been don't look like this. Let me just say that. I mean, this is insane. Look at all the different numbers. Just how it's presented. I think it looks incredible. Maybe it's only me. Maybe I'm geeking out for no reason here. I don't know. I think this looks amazing to me. Look at that, how tall those are, by the way. And it says way out. I just think that's wild. Barangaroo. I love that name. We've seen it come out. We've seen it come up in videos before. I mean, this looks like I'm entering a spaceship, dude. This looks like something straight out of a sci-fi movie for sure. Is this cool or what? I like it. Someone mentions in the comments it looks just like the Elizabeth line in London, except with a wood finish. Like they must have ordered it out of the same catalog. And someone says literally on the next comment down the same thing. Makes you wonder if the same designer has been involved. Now, I can't, of course, I can't weigh in on that. If you want to weigh in on that, I would love to hear. Apparently, this John McGaslin and partners were the designers of the Sydney Metro stations, who also did the Bond Street station for the Elizabeth line in London. So apparently, the same people were involved. That's why you get that similar aesthetic. I mean, of course, if this is how it looks in London, then that's gorgeous as well. This is just really well done. I like it a lot. And then finally, people mentioned, like, as a former Sydney resident of well over 30 years, I'm very much looking forward to this project being opened. It's one of those infrastructure projects that should have been built a long time ago. At a glance, it resembles the train stations in Singapore. And from what I've seen, I haven't seen much, but from the little I've seen, kind of random videos I've stumbled upon of Singapore, it usually looks pretty gorgeous there as well, like really high tech and kind of futuristic to me at least, and clean. So that's, I'd say, probably good comparison. This is absolutely hilarious. We're looking at Wi-Fi routers in Australia, and you're thinking, why the hell are you looking at Wi-Fi routers, dude? What's the big deal? Well, a Wi-Fi router in Australia, that's the big deal right there. That's absolutely hilarious. Australia, where even the Wi-Fi can kill you. Biggest spider I've seen by a landslide. Tell me in the comments if you understood that one. It only has 6 legs, so it won't bite. B-Y-T-E. It's a black widow. Tell my Wi-Fi lover. Yeah, that thing is actually hilarious. And if that is real in Australia, I mean, that would just be so fitting. I freaking love it. We have a very quick highlight of just a typical news story from one of these hilarious news outlets. Now, this isn't exclusive to Australia. Most countries have, pretty garbage news outlets that just run ridiculous stories, right? I think especially nowadays, that's definitely a thing here. And we have seen some real weirdo news stories and quite frankly, ridiculous headlines from some of the Australian news outlets as well. I'm sure you can agree to some extent. I'm just going to show this and move on. This is absolutely ridiculous. They're having a baby. Daily Mail Australia. Without telling me, my sister and my husband decided to, sleep together to get pregnant and surprise me that they're having a baby. And that's your Daily Mail Australia news flash highlights of the week. Now moving on to that, American that is asking for help on Reddit, of all places, right? To fellow Australians, what do they do? Let me give you the context. Seen in my rental car in Australia. I'm from America. What do I do? Well, let's show you. Well, I'm an American, so I can't help them. I don't know what the hell you do. I guess scream and run away is my guess what their first reaction was. If we analyze this further, I don't know what this crease is, right? Because this makes it look like there's maybe the A-pillar or something, or this is perhaps a back door, so this is like the C-pillar, right, sloping down towards the trunk. And we have this spider chilling on seemingly the window, right? But it's just confusing me because the window, if it's all the way up, why would there be a seam here? So this almost makes it look like the window's rolled halfway down. But then I don't know what this thing is resting on, right? So that's a little bit confusing. But either way, that thing is huge. I am sure most Australians watching this are laughing, saying, "Oh, that's just, another Tuesday. What's the big deal?" But yeah, to an American, this would absolutely make my skin crawl. So I wouldn't know what to do because I think seeing them on a car or in your car is a whole nother story compared to seeing them in a house, right? Oh, man, that's freaky. That's freaky stuff. And we have more people walking their, I don't know what you call it. Their animals, their pets. They seem to be a lot of different things. I know walking your dog is quite a normal thing worldwide, right? But not in this case. Last video I did on stuff like this, I don't know, a week or two ago, we saw an Australian walking his goose around. Yeah, you heard that, right? And everyone was, getting a huge kick out of it. This guy is walking his goat. Her name is Tilda, and she was going to the dog wash. Hello, Tilda. She's a cutie. She looks very well groomed. And there you go. People are walking anything and everything. You just never know what you're going to see in the streets of Australia, apparently. Who knows? People might start walking huntsmans around soon. Here we have video of course, the small desert town in South Australia. You might be able to name it, where everyone lives underground. I can't get enough of this. I've seen clips of it here and there for probably 2 or 3 years at this point, and it's always interesting. Check this out. It's so hot. And let's see.
About 1,000 underground dwellings and at least 1,500 people living underground.
Look at that.
We've got 5 underground churches.
Okay, see, I've never seen that. The churches part? Look at that. That's a legitimate church underground.
We've got underground motels.
Yo, that is freaking wild, man.
Amazing underground homes here. Many bedrooms, underground workshop. You name it underground. We've pretty well got it.
Look at this. Shelley's Underground Nail and Beauty Spa. I mean, it's legitimate. It's just so weird, right?
I bought my dugout as a fairly small 2-bedroom dugout, and I've been extending it over the years.
That's wild.
In the old days, if somebody was going to have a baby, we'd rock round there with a couple of compressors on a weekend and some jackhammers and a couple of cartons of beer, and by the Sunday night, we dug out a room, cemented the floor and wired it up, and there's your new baby's room, honey.
Now that is a different way of life, man.
Love the place to bits.
That guy, man, that's a different breed right there. We'll just dig up another room for you, honey. Yo, that is crazy though, man. What a cool place. Very unique. Of course, you don't see that every day, and I mean, mostly it's because it's super hot there, right? Very, very hot. Also, and isn't it like a humongous like opal mining hotspot, right? It's just a super crazy place, dude, and I will never stop being amazed by it. This is wild. I've never heard of this before. It says, today I learned in 1955, a runaway light plane took off by itself and spent 3 hours flying unpiloted over Sydney, Australia. 3 separate Air Force attempts to shoot it down failed before 2 Navy pilots made a successful kill of the airplane 5 miles offshore. Now, that is actually crazy. Bet the Navy gave the Air Force a bit of a ribbing over that one. Guys, you just had one job. It was worse than that. They were British Royal Navy pilots on exchange. Oh, my goodness. In a 1,000,000 to 1 chance, the brake failed to hold, a.k.a. the pilot forgot to lock the brakes. That is actually crazy. I've never really heard of that. I'm sure it's happened other times throughout the world in history, of course, but I've just never heard of that, a runaway plane. And I mean, how does that even work? Took off, right? But then took off in the sense that it was high enough to where it wasn't like bowing, crashing into things right away, like buildings or trees or something, right? It was high enough, but it was flying for 3 hours. That's a long time, dude. 3 minutes I would have been amazed by. I mean, you have winds, you have different terrain. Like I don't know how this would fly by itself. And we're talking 1955. It's not like this thing was put on autopilot, some advanced computer, driven machine like we have nowadays. That's just wild. That is, I don't even believe that. I would love to hear if you've actually heard of this and knew this happened around Sydney. All right, and lastly, we have a crazy guy drives into house in Perth suburbs. That's the title of this one. All right, let's see what the heck this is about. Oh. Okay, let me restart that. Hold on, guys. Whoa. We got some burnout smoke.
He's gonna freaking kill someone, dude.
Yeah.
Ooh, this is right in the middle of broad daylight. Clearly on public street. We're not at a racetrack. We're definitely in the streets, in the suburbs.
It's got a thing on the
Oh my God, dude. Okay, now I love, Australian muscle, and I love fast utes as much as the next guy. But come on, dude. That's not how you handle that, man. Take it to the drag strip. Take it to the track. Or buy some property and go hoon around in a field somewhere that you own, dude. What are you doing drifting on neighborhood streets? That's not how to do it, bro.
You're a dick.
Oh.
An absolute dick, mate.
Dude, watching Australians interact is just the best. Oh my God.
You got a video of him?
Yeah.
What the fuck, man? Driver, isn't he? Were you the driver?
No, he's a driver there, and he's a dick. What do you mean what's happened?
I don't know what just happened. I mean, looked like your foot was through the freaking floorboard, dude, with all that smoke. What do you think was going to happen?
Fried, mate.
I'm not.
Stay here until... Have you got... Call the cops, bud.
He's like, are you fried, mate?
Call the cops. Was not an accident, you peanut. There's kids around, mate. You would have killed someone.
Can you pull over here, mate? Call the police.
Yeah.
Straight away. I didn't have any.
Ooh. These people are clearly around. I don't know if they're the homeowners or their neighbors, or maybe we're on a walk or something. But he is definitely screwed. Obviously, he's really screwed because the gate right there is opening. So clearly, the people heard something. Someone's home, and they're gonna handle this. Wow, that's tough, man. that guy messed up big time. You know, oh, it was an accident. Well, yeah, it probably was an accident. You probably didn't want to spin and crash, but it's not an accident, right? Like, you did this, dude. You chose to drive crazy. That wasn't the car's fault. That was your fault. I love the Aussie slang. Yeah, was not an accident, you peanut. That's the driver there. He's a dick. That's certainly crazy. Obviously, it sucks that someone's property was damaged, right? It looks like it wasn't totally terrible, right? To try and find a silver lining here. It's not like he literally knocked over a whole house or something. Thank goodness. And, most of all, it doesn't look like any people were right in that exact vicinity, thank goodness. So it's not like anyone got smacked with a car or something. But dude, that's crazy. But that's gonna be I guess that's gonna be it for this one. I cannot wait to see you in the comments. These videos are just always hilarious and fun and educational too. So I hope your week has been great, and of course I hope you enjoyed this one. I appreciate you watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one as well. But that's gonna be it for this one. My name is Ian. You watched the IWrocker. Until next time, y'all. Catch you later.